If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another album review for you guys. And tonight I am talking about the latest offering from a band that I have been hearing some buzz about recently, and I figured, well, since they got a new album coming up, I might as well talk about it, and that is Wayfarer with American Gothic. So this comes out on October 27th on Profound Lore Records. And this band is essentially a side project of one Isaac Falk from Blood Incantation, among many other projects that he has. And, well, this is quite different from Blood Incantation. This, according to Metal Archives, is atmospheric folk/black metal. I would say that is pretty accurate, but I would also add a little bit of death metal in there too. Like, there are still some death metal moments that come up here and there on this album. Now, one thing that is going to be made perfectly clear throughout this whole album: dissonance galore. Like, this is probably one of the most dissonant albums I have heard this year in terms of the guitar work. There's a lot of dissonant melodies going on, more or less giving me, I would say, more closer to Mastodon vibes than anything else. Like, I got reminded a lot on this album of Mastodon. Starting things off with the Thousand Tombs of Western Promise. Very folky acoustic guitars, and then you even have like this kind of background speech going on, which I thought was pretty cool to kind of add a little bit of like a Western feel. But it builds up quite well tension-wise with those acoustics, and then it turns rather doomy for the most part, but with the dissonance and the melody very much in the vein of Mastodon. But I will say, I'd say this and the following track, The Cattle Thief, both have more moments of death metal, like particularly like big guitar progressions and triplet chugs. Like The Cattle Thief, right away you get like this triplet swinging groove with tasty riffs going on, but the melodies are quite strong. You get even blast beats and tremolos that kind of feel closer. This is probably the one moment on the album where you get reminded of Blood Incantation quite a bit. Now, you do get another really cool triplet chug on here, but I will say this introduces something that's only showcased little by little, and that's the lead work. Like, only a couple of tracks have guitar solos, but they're more of like atmospheric embellishments more than like, say, shredding solos. Like, kind of like taking that David Gilmour approach to soloing, where it's all about feel and atmosphere, rather than just being like, oh, look how fast and how shreddy I can play the guitar, man. That's kind of more or less how these solos go on this album, but they only pop up on a couple of songs, really, is where you get any kind of guitar solo. And then you even get some clean guitars and clean vocals at the very end, and I will say, the production done by Arthur Risk, I thought the production was really fucking strong and the mix was good, except the vocals. Like, I feel like the vocals get really buried in the mix on this album, and I feel like that's part of an atmospheric black metal thing, when they just kind of get into these more, I guess, these atmospheric vocals to where they just kind of fade in the background, as opposed to, like, being up front in the mix. So that was kind of a complaint I had when it came down to the production, was the vocals were buried, but I understand that that's an atmospheric black metal thing. Now, there are a few songs on here, like the shorter tracks, like Reaper on the Oil Fields, High Plains Eulogy, and even the interlude 1934. They do more atmosphere building rather than riffs. Like Reaper on the Oil Fields, this is mostly like a Western-inspired song, but it's lo-fi and, dare I say, psychedelic, with like layered vocals that kind of feel rather claustrophobic. And then a High Plains Eulogy, you get this, as well as even the previous track, To Enter My House Justified. Hammond organs come in, which I always love hearing Hammond organs in metal because it sounds so powerful. And speaking of To Enter My House Justified, like, the melodies on here are strong again. You even get a brief thrash beat on here, but with a tremolo riff on top to kind of give off a little bit of that black metal vibe. But even some almost tribal drums come up here, and even in Black Plumes Over God's Country, you get some, like, more tribal percussion going on. Even a great hammer-on and pull-off melody pops up on To Enter My House Justified, and a breakdown, which probably the only time a real true blue breakdown comes up. But, Black Plumes Over God's Country, more dissonance than it's due me, but I will say, whenever it gets in these, like, fast double bass parts with that dissonant riffing, made me think of Immolation, like, right off the bat. But it does go back to feeling more Mastodon during the slower parts where there is no double bass going on. And then the final track, False Constellation, pretty much kind of wraps everything together in a nice package. Melodic riffs, even piano comes up, which is really nice. Well, I don't know, at first it sounds like a piano, but then it almost sounds like a synth. I'm not sure, but you even get a double time groove here and there on this track. More of those more chanty, clean vocals, and it does a good job to close this album on a high note. So yeah, musically, while I'm not the biggest fan of atmospheric black metal, the way the production was done, despite the vocals being low in the mix, I thought the production helped service these songs very well. Arthur Rizk did a great job, and these songs just do so well to, like, put you in, like, almost like in the Old West, like as if you're at the gunfight at the OK Corral and getting ready to kill somebody to some extent. So yeah, pretty much the main complaints that I really had about this album were the vocals being low in the mix, and I will say some of the songs do kind of follow a similar mold. Maybe they should have had more pronounced riffs rather than focusing entirely on the dissonance and the melodies. But overall, I thought this was a pretty damn good album. I'm going to give this one 8.5 out of 10. So, was the hype warranted? I would say so to a large extent. Like, obviously, I don't think it's the greatest thing in the history of planet Earth, but it's still really fucking good. For atmospheric black metal, quote-unquote, this was really cool. But of course, this is all just my opinion. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.